Welcome back, and thanks so much for staying with us. Of course, let's continue here now. According to UNICEF, 1 in 3 children under 2 years of age in the Northern Gaza Strip suffer from acute malnutrition. Malnutrition among children is spreading fast and reaching devastating and unprecedented levels in the Gaza Strip due to the wide-reaching impacts of the war and ongoing restrictions on aid delivery. Now, for more on this, we're now joined by UNICEF communications specialist Tess Ingram. Tess, thank you so much for your time. Now, the UN's human rights chief just recently, saying that the restricting aid to Palestinians in Gaza could be seen as using starvation as a weapon of war. Just give us a sense of how badly the situation has escalated to.
It's beyond our worst comprehension. Even just a couple of months ago, we started doing screenings of children under 2 and saw that malnutrition was beginning to rise. Just a month ago, the rate of malnutrition in the north was 15%, and it has since doubled to 30% of children under 2. Now, that has to be entirely unacceptable to the whole international community, particularly when we're talking about a place where malnutrition was almost non-existent before October. So we're seeing it rise dramatically in a place where this is unusual and a place where there's aid just a few kilometres away. And it's not just the north of the Gaza Strip now. We're seeing rising rates of malnutrition in children across the Strip, including the middle and the south, where there is more access to aid.
And I mean, we also receiving reports, the Integrated Food Security Phase Classification Report for one earlier this week, saying that malnutrition and food shortages have probably exceeded famine levels in northern parts of Gaza, and that the hunger-linked death rates will also likely to grow soon. Just what are we talking about here in terms of famine?
So this group of independent experts are the leading experts in food crises around the world, and they have very strict criteria for how they declare a famine. And basically what they've said is that a famine could occur any moment between now and May, because that is how serious the situation is. And one of the key indicators is the number of children that are dying from malnutrition, and we are seeing that rise consistently at the moment. At least 23 children in the north of Gaza have died from a combination of malnutrition and dehydration in recent weeks. And we have to remember how painful this is for children to reach that point. We shouldn't be seeing children in those numbers being sick with malnutrition, let alone dying from it because they can't get the treatment that they need to survive, which we have and we want to bring them.
And of course, importantly to that, we also understand even pregnant women, pregnant mothers are dying, just given the lack of aid. I mean, what is necessary for them now, immediately, just given their situation?
Yeah, pregnant mothers have very specific nutrition needs, of course, to sustain their health during a pregnancy and that of the baby. And very sadly, we're hearing reports of babies being born to malnourished mothers and the babies not surviving the first few weeks of their life because they weren't born strong enough because the mother was malnourished. And so these mothers need the special micronutrient supplements that UNICEF provides to help the mothers remain healthy if they can't get a diversity in their diet. So these supplements provide things like iron and folate that we know that pregnant women need. So UNICEF is bringing this into the Gaza Strip along with other nutrition supplies and treatments, but it really has been difficult to get enough aid in to meet the needs and then to get that aid across the Gaza Strip to the women and the children that so desperately need it. And that's why we've been so relentless about the need for a ceasefire. The fighting needs to stop so that we can get the aid in and get it to the people that need it.
Now, Israel is saying, of course, that, the UN and the relief groups are actually the ones that are at fault, for the quantity and the pace of aid deliveries. I mean, what can you tell us in terms of, how much aid is actually being allowed in at this point?
Yeah, I find that very difficult to believe purely based on the data. So if you look at how many trucks used to get into the Gaza Strip, it was 500 trucks a day. And we're now seeing in the first 2 weeks of March, it averaged 165 trucks a day. So the amount of aid getting in has dropped dramatically. And that's not because we don't have aid ready to go. There are almost 1,200 trucks for UN and international organisations backlogged in Egypt waiting to get into the Gaza Strip. And these trucks are full of medicine and nutritional supplies, materials to help repair water systems, all sorts of things that can help the people of Gaza. So what we really need is for more aid to be allowed in, for the screening processes that slow us down at the crossings to be reconsidered so that we can start to bring in more aid. And then we need more crossing points to be opened, because there's only 2 crossings open at the moment, and they're both in the in the south of the Gaza Strip. And there are other crossings in the north that used to operate and could be open so that we can get directly into the north, where we know that so many women and children desperately need aid.
Tess, most of these children have lost one or both parents and a lot of family members. What can you tell us about, the long-term effects on this war on children especially?
The long-term effects are coming at children from almost every single angle. As you say, we estimate that there's about 17,000 unaccompanied and separated children in the Gaza Strip at the moment, and that means they've either lost their family members or been separated from them because of the conflict and the inability to reconnect with family members. So that's a serious issue that could leave many children seeking care. The other issues, though, that I think are very important for us to remember, but often aren't reflected on, the mental health impacts and the repeated trauma that children are experiencing. I think if we consider another conflict, a child might experience 1 or 2 moments of serious trauma before they're able to flee to safety. But in the Gaza Strip, children are trapped. They're not able to leave. And so for more than 160 days now, it's been day in, day out of trauma. And that is going to have a long-term impact on the mental health of these children. And we're already seeing some of the signs of that, of nightmares, of tremors, of bedwetting, of children withdrawing, not speaking to family members around them. And then, of course, malnutrition has long-term impacts as well on the growth and development of a child's body. So there's all of these things that are affecting children, not just now, but threaten to shape the whole generation of Gaza for years to come.
Tess, appreciate your time. Thank you so much for coming on to the show. Of course, Tess Ingram is the UNICEF communications specialist.